Hi everyone. So without wasting time, we'll start our session. Students will keep on joining. And so today we have Professor Amit Kundal. And of course, I had the privilege to meet him in person when I was in FLAME. He's the Associate Professor of Faculty of Design, Art Performance, and Dean of Faculty of Design as well, Art and Performance from the FLAME University. Now, I have been getting so many calls and so many inquiries regarding Flame University, and it has been really tough for me also to explain about the in-depth curriculum of Flame, an extremely unique curriculum of Flame. Extremely unique, I'd say that I haven't seen any curriculum in the country like Flame, what they offer. And I definitely want you to explain them about the curriculum, about the ideology, and about what kind of student Flame is expecting, and what kind of career opportunities student will be expecting after Flame. So uh, over to you, sir. Can you explain overall structure of Bachelor of Design program, how the 4 years have been divided? So it will be good that will be coming from you.
Okay, thank you, Saurabh. I think there are two things we can do. One is that either we could just answer question and answer, or I could run a short presentation, right? So whatever you think works the best, I'm happy to do both.
Sir, it is so unique that before question, I think that if you run a presentation, it will be a learning for me also.
Cool. Okay. So let me allow me to share my screen.
Yes, sir, you will be able to share.
Okay, I'm able to share my screen. Okay. Good. What happens with sharing screen is that I'm not able to then see anybody. But anyway, cool. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. I think before I actually get into kind of what Flame is and what is our curriculum, it's important that I give you a little background to from where we begin. I think it's important to understand our idea of design, and because that idea is what we base our curriculum on, I'll take you through a little bit about what design is and where it is going, and then probably I'll also share the curriculum. Right. I know that all of us would not be able to probably open their cameras and be on screen, but I'll be very happy if you are a little bit more interactive in the chat session, right? So if you have any question in between, if I want to ask you something, if you want to kind of put a comment, please put it on the chat session, okay? So it'll be nice for me to hear your views. So I want to start by showing you our campus. So I think you get a little glimpse of what Flame is in terms of infrastructure, and then I'll get into the academics and curriculum. Oh, did something happen? Sorry. Did we skip something?
Yes, I think few parts of the video.
Oh, are you still able to see my screen?
Not anymore.
No, sir.
Not
You
anymore.
can.
I'll have to reshare it. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Please reshare it. I mean,
my apologies for that. Let me just kind of reshare this.
you can stop share and then again start the reshare.
Yeah.
Yes, now you can reshare.
Okay. I will try to skip it to where we missed it.
Sir, it's fine. We can.
No, I can go ahead. that's a glimpse of the campus. We are based in Pune. We are Liberal Education University, and one of the schools in the university is the design school. I think I want to, because I'm talking to people who are interested in design, who want to pick design as a career and are almost there. I want to start by asking each one of you, what is your understanding of design? If I say, what is design, what comes to your mind? If few of you could put your thoughts on the chat, would be very nice. You can also, I mean, if you don't want to put it on a chat, just write, keep scribbling and write a note somewhere. It'll be nice for you to write, and let's see by the end of the session, does your definition of design, what is your current understanding, change or no? I think for me, that's more important. So if even few of you could just write on chat, what is design? What do you mean by design? What's your understanding of design? And if you're preparing for
right in the
design
chat
entrance,
section.
yeah, and if you're preparing for a design entrance, I think that's a very, very basic, simple question that everybody will ask you in your interviews. That what is your understanding of design? Whether it is fashion design, product design, animation design, UI, UX, graphic design, whatever that is, what is your understanding of design? Nishant, if you can read me some things if they're in the chat.
Sure, sir. A creative way to solve a problem for users. It's by Adya. Then we said, so design is making creative solution to solve some problem that user may face.
Okay, cool. So essentially, from the two things, I understand that it's you are thinking of design to be a problem-solving approach, and you're also thinking of design that it's about giving a solution, which is a more creative in nature. Okay, so let me then give you a question. If I give you a question to, let's say I say design a toothbrush for kids. Think over it. You need not submit it, but even if you want to think in your head, said, okay, what comes to your mind? What kind of toothbrush will you design for kids? Like just design a toothbrush for kids. I'll give you 30 seconds. Think over it. What comes to your mind? Okay. I actually prompted, because now there's also a talk of a lot of AI disrupting what designers do. I actually prompted a AI algorithm, LLM, mostly ChatGPT. I just wrote a simple thing: design a toothbrush for kids and give me a sketch of it. You know what it gave? It gave me this. I'm assuming a lot of you most likely are going to be thinking in the same direction, which is more about, can we kind of make it little smaller? Can we make the grip much better for kids? Can we add some kind of a character, right, to the toothbrush so it looks a little more amusing to the kids? Maybe it's about an animal. Some people might say we want to put an Avenger. Some people might say we want to put some kind of another character. Whatever that character is, more about personifying the toothbrush and a little bit more bolder shape so that it's much more handleable for the kids. Now, I mean, my question to you is, if I can prompt a LLM to do this and look at the quality of the drawing, right? If I can prompt an LLM to do this, what will designers do? If I am a business owner, I want to design a toothbrush. I will just say, LLM, can you kind of design a toothbrush for me? You might kind of take a couple of hours to render a toothbrush, which could possibly look, let's say, 50% similar, if not 100% similar, right? But why should I then kind of look for a designer when LLM can do this for me? I think that's a very important question for all of us to think about, right? Now let me give you another prompt, okay? I actually gave GPT a little bit more prompt, and I said, okay, can you also kind of assign a material to it? Can you look at some more nuances, fit and finish, like where would it be placed? It actually turned that into something like this in under 30 seconds. And I did this like 1 year back when the GPT was not as advanced as it is today. Like if I today do it on nano bananas, it probably will blow my mind up. So if this is what the question still remains, if this is what GPT is doing or any other AI LLM is doing, what are designers going to do? Now, I'm going to ask this question to little differently. I'm going to ask you, let's not design a toothbrush. What is a toothbrush used for? the main function of a toothbrush is to keep your teeth clean. That's all. Or it's an act of keeping teeth clean. That is what is brushing. So let's say, let's design something which is an act of keeping teeth clean. And I'm going to put a constraint that it cannot look like a toothbrush. What comes to your mind? I'm sure your mind is going to think, or it is forced to think out of the box. You're not automatically thinking out of the box. I am forcing you to think out of the box because I'm giving you a question like that. And if I because that question becomes very interesting. Now, if I use GPT to solve this for me, it will give me examples like this. This is what GPT generated for me. It could be something like a chewable cleaning starch. It could be like a foam sticky pad brush pad. It could be a finger puppet cleaner. It could be something that could fit in your mouth. And then if I look around, these are the kind of products that actually win awards. On the left-hand side is something called a pod, where you can actually, it's a dental smart gum. You can chew it and it's won an award. Look at the right-hand side. It's an A Design Award winner entry, where you put something in your jaw and it kind of cleans your tooth. It doesn't look like a toothbrush at all. Why is it creative and why it won the award? Because the question we are asking is more creative than this question of designing a toothbrush. So earlier question of designing a toothbrush, which could lead us to something like this or something like this. But then I kind of reframe the question, ask the question a little bit more creatively and say it's the act of keeping the teeth clean. It gives us something like this, and it possibly gives us ideas which are more kind of creative because we are pushed to think outside our assumption boundaries. Let me kind of do this again, right? Now I'm going to ask you something again, and if you have a pen and a paper, I've given you an example. Now let me try this again. Let's design a chair. And for all of us, for any of us, right? So let's design a chair. Usually when I do this and I ask students to draw a chair, I think 90% of the time my guess is absolutely right. My assumption is, I can't see right now what you guys are doing, but be honest to yourself, whatever is coming to your mind, because it's good for you. My assumption is that all of you will draw something which possibly has 4 legs, a seat, and a backrest. Now you can have a different permutation combinations on it. You can say mine has 2 legs, mine has 1 leg, my seat is reclining, my backrest kind of folds up and down, or it goes up, it has some kind of a pneumatic control. You can press a button, it will go up and down, or it has something which is more like a massage chair, or it's Unfab India fan. It possibly has a very good ikat or a textile pattern, right? But I'm assuming that a lot of us would be thinking something on the same line, which is like, let's say, closer to this. All variations of chair, all AI generated by a simple prompt saying design a chair. And it gave me these many variations, right? So most of us will think in the same direction, because what we are trying to do is we are actually trying to work with what we call the mental model. We look at what is the past memory of the chair, and then what is our understanding of the chair is our mental model. Based on that, we are just trying to redesign that, because that's what we know chair to be, right? To my mind, that's actually not design. That is what I call it as a redesign. We also call it as incremental innovation, not a radical innovation. So if I have to apply the same thing here, I'd say, let's try to understand. Let's say that, okay, we all say, a child is very creative. So, and we should also assume a beginner's mindset. Now, what is that beginner's mindset? If you give this to a child who doesn't know what is a chair, a beginner mindset means that he doesn't have any preconceived notions. So he doesn't know what a chair is. He will ask you a very simple question. What does a chair do if he doesn't know what the chair is? And you will ask him in a very simple language, saying it's something that allows you to sit. Now, if that is what I take as a question, that I do not want to design a chair, I actually want to design something that allows me to sit. And if I put a constraint, because designers also work in constraint, that it should not be a chair. It should not look like what a chair looks like. I'll possibly get a lot more variations in what are the possibilities of a chair, which could, if like an object used for sitting, which could start looking like this. It doesn't look like a chair, but all could work possibly like a chair. And this could result in something like this, which is again an award-winning product. Or my guess is that even a beanbag is a result of something like this as a thinking. Somebody possibly thought that he could also sit on a bag full of rice or whatever, and that eventually got converted into a beanbag. I'm not kind of claiming that I know what happened, but that's my guess. Let me give you some industry examples. Okay, so there was a designer. His name was Doc Dietz. He was given a task that you need to design an MRI scan for children, because what happens is when you kind of put a child inside an MRI scan, he moves a lot because they get scared. Because they move a lot, they are not stable. Hence, the scan is not perfect. So what do? So the first reaction of the design team or engineering team, they're like, okay, let's make it a little compact. Let's put something around the child so that they can't move ABC. They tried that. They made the prototype. They made the product and they tested it. When they tested it, the child again started crying. And then they realized that we actually have not done the right thing. What they've not done is they've not understood children in reality. They were only trying to talk to children in a hospital, right, where they're already afraid, so they're not at their real self, right? It's the same thing like saying that if I want to know you, I will know you when you are in your design circle class. I can't know you when you're in design circle class because there you are going to be in a certain kind of a behavior, right? I will only get to know you or be friends with you outside the class if we go somewhere out, or I'll know you better outside of your normal settings, maybe at your home, maybe at your playgrounds, maybe in a mall, whatever, right? Then they said, let's try to understand kids a little better. So when they started doing a little bit of research, they figured out something very interesting. They said the insight they got was anything which possibly could be perceived as an adventure, anything that could possibly be perceived as an adventure is very engaging for kids. Now that as a let's say a line doesn't relate at all to an MRI scan. Adventure, engagement, MRI skin, MRI machine. What is the relation? But if I say that, okay, can I redesign this MRI machine, which could look like an adventure to a kid, or which could be perceived like an adventure to a kid? So the same machine, if I have to make it perceive like an adventure to a kid, what would you do? If anybody wants to put in the chat, please go ahead and put it. Nishant, if anybody is putting anything in the chat, I'm not able to see it. So you please
Sure,
let
sir.
me know if people are putting something.
Sure.
Okay, so the question is, if I have to redesign this MRI scan, but with an idea that it should be perceived as an adventure for kids, what could it possibly be? What would you possibly want to do? And you don't need to understand how to draw to have an idea like that. You can just type it down that, oh, I should do ABC. We can do ABC. We can do C, D, E, whatever. If there's anything anybody wants to write, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Vanika said we can design it like a spaceship.
You can design like a spaceship. Absolutely correct. This is something similar that they designed. Not a spaceship, but maybe another kind of a ship. But think about it. How much time did you take to think about that idea? 5 seconds. And I'm sure one person wrote, another also thought
Yeah.
about it.
So the
Right?
Priyanka said video game installed, and then there is an add graphic and puzzles. It could be covered with lot of stickers on it, and screen for cartoon can be seen. Adding a screen that calls to help our VR effects for children, like a dollhouse. So these are few of the.
Exactly, almost the same thing that I'm showing you. But you were able to think about the solution so quickly because I gave you a very interesting question to ask. Like if I said design an MRI scan, you will not do this. You will again kind of make it a little more fancier, add a better color, scale it down, but not reach here. But this is what is more creative. Let me take one more example, okay? And this is, I always say, it is not just the designers who design. Everybody designs. There are other people also who design. It's just that designers have a better ability to design, but it's not that the engineers don't design, the marketeer don't design. So this is a case study. It's from the marketing side of things. So there was a large company. You'll get to know the company later. so they were looking at a very specific issue. They said that, okay, we want to enhance the washing experience. So the manager, the marketing manager of the team, they said, okay, what we'll do is for the next 2-3 weeks, everybody in the team, all we're going to do is to go to people's houses, just observe, don't even talk to them, just observe with permission, take photos of them washing clothes in whichever way. They went, they took permission, they started taking photos. They used to come back to a room, like a large room, and then started pasting photos all across. Over a period of 1 week, they started noticing a very peculiar pattern. The peculiar pattern was that after washing clothes, most people have this habit that they will want to, they'll want to smell. They want to smell that what is happening. And they said, okay, this is something common everybody is doing. Then they said, okay, let's go back and ask why that is happening. They went back, they started asking people that this is what we probably noticed, and why are you doing this? And it was a very simple answer. The simple answer was that the fragrance, the quality of fragrance is directly proportional in their mind to the amount of cleanliness. Which is a very simple answer that, the better it smells, we feel better it has been washed or cleaned. Now that company said, okay, if it is about that, why don't we add fragrance to the detergent? Now, do you think it's a good solution? Do you think it's an interesting solution? And that's where Tide was born. And this is the story of 1970s. Till today, because of that one small thing, Tide added lemon to their detergent. Right now, you see lavender, you see rose, you see so many different kind of flavors or fragrances. Those scents or those fragrances are not cleaning your clothes. It is still the same chemical, but we want vanilla. We want to smell like vanilla. Our clothes will smell like raspberry or like lavender or rose or lotus, whatever. Right now, to me, it's a very creative solution. Now, what kind of drawing skills do you require to add lemon to Tide? And I'm sure when I said that, okay, that, you could add a fragrance to detergent, I'm sure a lot of you thought that, okay, we can add some kind of a floral scent. Right now, you don't require too much of drawing skills to do this. I'm not saying that designers don't require drawing. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying there are other things that also design does, which is probably more important. Let me give you one more example. So I was at the school, Stanford, for quite some time, and there was a team who was working on a very interesting project. They were working on something for developing countries. They said that, okay, in developing countries, what happens is that, the child mortality rate especially in the early couple of months is very high. And one of the reasons it's very high is because you need to keep the baby in a certain temperature, because most babies are born with some kind of a issue, especially in the rural areas. So they need to be kept in an incubator. Now they figured out that, okay, a lot of these developing countries do not have hospitals in place, right, where people could go. If there is a hospital in place, they will not have an incubator. In case there is an incubator, they might not have the right kind of a doctor available. If the doctor is available, there is a bigger challenge. The bigger challenge is the light might not be there. There might not be no electricity. Then what do you do? What do you do? It's not an infrastructure problem anymore. It's not about saying that, okay, can I add more hospitals? Because the problem is underlaid. Then they said, okay, there's a bigger challenge among all of this, which is a little bit more of a social challenge, where anybody elderly in the family will always tell the new mother or the new father that you cannot keep the baby away from you, because the mother's warmth is the best warmth for the baby in this period. Social taboo, right? And we can imagine what kind of social taboo could exist in rural parts of a lot of developing countries, not just India, right? You cannot keep the baby away from you. It's not a good thing. You're not being a good mother by doing so. And these kids who were solving this problem at Stanford, and they said, okay, now let's kind of reframe this challenge from a different lens. All we are trying to do is to reframe the challenge. we're saying that, okay, what if we could design something where the baby could always be in the mother's, let's say, mother's lap and still keep the baby warm? What comes to your mind? Can you type? Let me see. Design something that can allow the baby to be in the mother's arm and still keep the baby warm. What comes to your mind? Just write it out. Don't need to draw, just write it out.
So one student said heating blanket.
Heating blanket, very good. What else? Anybody else? Nothing comes to your mind. Think little more harder. What can it be?
Gloves that can have heating pads.
Gloves that can have heating pads. So I'll show you what they did. They made something like this, very, very close. Heating blanket, which can be closed in a form of a baby cocoon, right? Essentially, what it also has is it has a gel which can be charged when electricity is there, and then electricity is not there, it still keeps it warm, right? I mean, believe me, it's a Harvard Business Review case study. And getting a Harvard Business Review case study is not an easy thing, right? It's a tough ask. But just by asking a very interesting question, because I asked a very interesting question, some of you were already able to think through this in under 30 seconds. So the point is that getting to that answer is important. But if your question is very interesting, you'll most likely get to an interesting answer. I always say, there's a saying answers are always in the question. If your question is more creative, your answers are going to be creative. So it's not about only forming creative solutions. It is also about developing creative questions. If you are able to develop more creative questions, how do you kind of question things around you? How do you look at things around you? You most likely are going to develop more creative answers. Okay. So if you look at design, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties of this, this figure, but let me kind of give you an overview of how design actually works, specifically design thinking as a process. So there are two main buckets. The first bucket is what we call it as doing the right thing, and second thing is called as things that are done in the right way. Let me give you a very simple analogy to explain this. I had a student, very nice student. I love him to my heart. After every class, after 3 hours of my class, he used to come to me, and I initially thought that he's actually doing it on purpose and he intentionally wants to trouble me. He used to come to me and say, I hope everybody understands Hindi, right? So because he used to talk to me in Hindi, so I lose the purpose if I don't say it in Hindi, but if somebody doesn't, I can translate in English as well. So he used to tell me, after every 3 hours of class, he used to come to me, yes, sir, karna kya hai? And I'm like, what? He's like, sir, karna kya hai? What do I need to do? Then I'm like, I took a 3 hour long class. Puri Mahabharat maine suna di, and now you're talking about karna kya hai? But I mean, I used to love that students. I used to sit him down for an hour or so later and explain him everything that I explained in the class, re-go over my presentation and all of those things. He'll understand everything. Then he'll have, sir, I have another question. He'll have a follow-up question. The follow-up question was, I understood कि करना क्या है. Now my next question is कि होगा कैसे. I understood what has to be done. Now my question is, how do I do it? If I look at it, the two buckets that I'm talking about design are essentially those two buckets. And those are very important buckets. It is first important thing in design is to figure out what is the right thing to build. What do you want to build? What do you want to make? That's very important, right? And that comes from doing research, exploring, figuring out things, connecting the dots, all of those things. Once you figure out that, okay, I need to make a toothbrush, which is more like a chewing gum, right? And then it is about how do I now make this? First to figure out that it's not a toothbrush, it's a chewing gum. That's important. And that comes from research. And then you kind of figure out that how do you really make it? And that's where your other skills come into play, your prototyping skills, your sketching skills, your communication skills, your testing skills, developing skills, all of those skills come into play. So these two, me, and this is what is the definition of design, or we also call it the double diamond model of design thinking given by Design Council in 2007. Albert Einstein said, if I have an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and maybe just 5 minutes thinking about the solution. Because if I am able to lock what I need to do, what is the problem, I know solution is possible. In our case, and most designers do that. I mean, it's not that you guys only do it. A lot of students also do it, and it's very difficult to, make them unlearn. That's what our job is. Is we spend a lot of time on the solution, but we hardly spend time on the problem. If we end up spending a little bit more time on the problem, and you saw it, I gave you some examples. If I'm able to define the problem a little better, you'll not take more than 5 minutes to solve the problem, provided you have an hour to solve the problem. Right? I think that's where the focus needs to shift. The focus needs to shift in what is our understanding in terms of defining or figuring out what to do. Because once I know what to do, then in a lot of cases, even AI engines will help you figure out how to do. We at School of Design at Flame, we've also published a couple of research papers on this. We just got a publication last week, which is more about the same model that I'm talking about. We are looking at the same model in a different way. We are saying it's not going to be equal quadrants. The focus on how do you figure out what you want to do is going to be a lot more in terms of what designerly skills you want to acquire. So you need to understand research, you need to understand how do you synthesize research, you need to understand both qualitative, quantitative side of research, you need to understand human behavior, business, data, all of those things, and then figure out what is it that you want to do. Once you do that, then there is going to be a layer of AI which all designers are going to use so that we are able to build faster and we are able to iterate and prototype and test faster. And then the third layer, which most designers forget, is that there's no point creating an idea which cannot be taken to the market. It's never going to be called an innovation. It's always going to remain in an idea stage. So we designers also need to understand how does things get deployed or adopted or diffused in the market. So I think these are the three main buckets that we look at in terms of our base at School of Design. The first bucket is more about what is the thinking ability of the designer. How much can they think? How complex they can think? And then whatever they think, can they do it? And then whatever they do, can they also apply it? To me, the broader thinking comes from, and this is what literature and research says. I'm not saying this. There's a lot of literature available to make you kind of understand this, that the broader thinking ability develops from an interdisciplinary mindset. More things that you know, more chances of you forming, diverse and interconnected connections, right? So interdisciplinary mindset allows you to have a broader thinking ability. And then you use AI to kind of do what you want to do as a designer. And then also whatever you're thinking eventually has to be integrated with the business. So I'm going to ask you a question again. What is design? Let me see if somebody wants to answer again. I'll give you my definition. After this, probably is my definition of the slide. I don't know. But I'll give you my definition. But I want to know again from you. What do you think from whatever you've learned till now, like in my session, last 30 minutes or 20 minutes, what do you think is design? Nishant, let me know if anybody puts anything.
Sure, sir. So that's it, asking the right questions.
Asking the right question. Very good. What else? Very important thing about design. I tell every single student, if you cannot ask questions in the class, that's the first trait of being a designer, is whether you are able to ask questions. And that applies everywhere. Yes, Nishant.
Yeah, sure. So analysis of the problem, thinking outside the box, created that leads to innovation, unique way of thinking to solve a problem, rethinking a solution to a problem or creating something new, and unique way of looking at problem to get effective solution. Design is understanding user needs and problem that gives solution that does not exist already, improving and creating of product and solutions.
Okay, let me give you my definition of design. Very good. All of you are using the right words, which I'm very happy about. So let me give you my definition of design. I borrow it from Professor John Hiskett. Design is to design the design of a design. I'm going to pause and I want you to read this and try to understand this. Design is to design the design of a design. So it's not just the finished outcome. It is a journey from point A to point B. What is the point A? Point A is where you don't know what you need to do. And point B is where you know exactly what has to be done. So the point A is what we call it as the current situation. And point B is what we call it a desired situation. So all designers do is to kind of move people from the current situation to a desired situation, right? And as long as human desires are alive, design is here to stay. Today, a lot of us might be using iPhone 17 Pro, which probably we might think that, okay, it's the best phone in the market. Does that mean that I don't want a 20 Pro? I want it. I have desires, right? It's only going to become better, right? So design is to design the design of a design. It's just not the outcome. It is the plan. It is the act of doing things. It is the intention. And it is also the starting point from where it all begins. What designers do? Designers design experiences using a process. And trust me when I say this, there is something really magical about the process, right? So if you know the process of doing things really well, you don't need to bother about what is going to be the end result, because that most likely is going to fall in place. So what do we have to offer? So we offer a bachelor's in design program at Flame. We don't categorize design into different disciplines. So it's not about saying that, we want to train you in animation design, graphic design, or let's say product design, whatever. We only offer one program, which is called as experience design. The reason we call it experience design is because to us, design has to be more integrated, right? Because tomorrow you solve a problem, it's not going to come with a caveat that, oh, I need a graphic solution, right? If you want to solve it, let's say tomorrow you want to solve the problem of school education. That could be an awareness campaign, that could be desks, that could be a interface that you want to build. It is about the experience that you want to create. Today, we are in the experience economy. When we talk about experience economy, it's not just about one touch point. It's about a connected ecosystem that works together. So what we believe that a designer should be exposed to every single facet of design. You should know a little bit of graphic design. You should know product design. You should know animation design. You should know service design. You should know business design. You should also know how AI-driven design happens. You should also know how AI is shaping design and what is designing of the AI. You should know all of these things, right? And then you figure out where you want to build connections. Let's say we say Apple is a great product. But why is Apple a great product? It is not because it is a nice looking phone. That's one part of it. It also has a good interface. Second part of it, it's a layer. Hardware, then the software, then the experience part of it. It is also great because the packaging is very nice. It's also very nice because the service is very nice. It's probably one of the only products where you call and they will first take your number and say, I'll call you back. All of that is designed. So our program is called as experience design, where we kind of teach students every single aspect of design, right? I mean, not, let's say, we're not gonna, as I said, we're not training you to become an expert in one field. We are training you to understand design holistically so that you can apply it wherever you want. So along with the experience design as a major, so Flame works in a major minor structure where you pick one major and one minor, and it's an interdisciplinary combination where you need to pick a minor outside of design, right? So you can possibly pick a minor in psychology. You can do experience design as a major, and then you can say, I want to do psychology as a minor from the school of psychology. I want to do entrepreneurship as a minor from the school of entrepreneurship. I want to do business analytics as a minor from the school of business analytics, or marketing or literature culture studies as a minor. So you understand how the students are going to become little bit more holistic. They are designers, but I am also a psychologist, right? Because I'm not doing 2 workshops on psychology. I'm actually doing a full-fledged minor. About 16 courses I'm going to do in my minor. So tomorrow, if I have to do some kind of a design research, is a designer more capable, or is a designer with a psychology background more capable? Or tomorrow, I want to have my own startup. Is a designer more capable, or a designer with an entrepreneurship minor more capable? Tomorrow, I want to work with data. Is a designer more capable, or designer with an analytics minor more capable? Right. So, I mean, that's where that's how our program is structured. I'm going to skip a few slides, but let me talk a little bit about what is the FLAME liberal education experience. We say that we want to, in the foundation year, we want students to develop fundamental skills, not only design fundamental skills about life. Every single student at FLAME, whether you're a designer or non-designer, has to do these 8 foundational courses. And there is no reason that I find that a designer should not do these courses. Why should we not do a course on public speaking when all the time what we do is to speak and talk our concepts? Why should we not do a course on financial literacy? Because eventually a lot of time, a lot of us want to have your own startup, want to kind of, do freelancing. We should understand numbers. We should do a course on environmental studies, mental models, digital literacy, critical reasoning, academic writing. These are all core courses that every single student at FLAME goes through. After that, this is all foundation year. In the foundation year, you're offered about 120 courses. You have to pick 20. Out of the 20, 8 are these foundation courses. And then what you do, you pick two courses from each knowledge universe. So you have to take 2 courses from social sciences. You could do psychology, anthropology, public policy, whatever. We also offer about 14 different languages on campus. You can pick up any 2 languages. Then you can pick up courses from design, fine, performing art, visual art, sculpture, theater, dance, music, whatever. 2 courses from natural sciences, 2 courses from humanities. And that's how, we provide you the breadth of interdisciplinary knowledge, right? So where you have understanding of social sciences, you have understanding of natural sciences. Tomorrow, let's say you're doing something which is a nature-inspired design as a problem, and you've already done a course on biology. It will help you so much. And let's say you want to do some kind of a course on some kind of a design problem you're solving, which is about culture, right? And you've already done some course on cultural studies, right? And let's say tomorrow you want to also go study abroad, right? You already know some of the foreign languages, which possibly would help you. Okay. Our goal is, and that's what ethos of FLAME is, it's about combining 2 disciplines in everything that you do. That's where interdisciplinary comes into play. We offer 350 plus major minor combinations on campus. I already showed you what design has to offer. You pick design in your major, and then you also pick a complementary minor. And that's how you create your degree. So you're a design major plus A, B, C, D as a minor. And I'll come back to this slide. And that is how, what Gaurav was saying, our approach is very different. So that's what our approach is. We say that we want to produce what we call it as a pie-shaped designer, right? Where student has an understanding on the horizontal about what is liberal education. Then they have one leg in experience design. The other side of the pie is like a minor in any of the interdisciplinary subjects, which is outside design. It's not like you're doing a major in product design and a minor in graphic design. No, that is what is called as an intradisciplinary, because it's still within the discipline of design. Interdisciplinary would be outside the discipline of design. I'm going to come back to this slide. When we were setting up the curriculum, we took feedback from a lot of people. We spoke to 100 plus design leaders across the globe who gave us feedback in terms of what we should do. So the curriculum we've designed is not just a bubble out of our mind. We published research papers on this, right? So, and it is also the input we got from 100 plus design leaders globally on what is the right thing to do going forward. I'm going to also, I don't know how much time do I have. If I have 15 minutes more. I'm going to show you some of the student work so that you get little context of what happens in the classroom and what do we do. So design starts with seeing and hearing. Empathy is very important, right? So this was their first I'm going to show you a journey of a class. So this is the first project. This was the first design thinking project where one of the student group was working on we collaborated with an NGO where they're working on patients with Parkinson's. And they actually designed a pen which probably could stabilize. The Parkinson patient has something called a micrographia, where their hands cannot kind of stay stable. So you need a reverse pressure. So they designed a pen where it could actually give you reverse pressure, and the grip is designed in a way where it doesn't fall out of your hand. This was another project the students did, again collaborate with an NGO, where it was more about working with people with intellectual disability who probably learn little slower than others, right? So what can you do for them? So they developed the kind of a kiosk to kind of choose their activity and probably do that at a very slow pace, at their own pace. Look at the kind of work which is happening in the background, like the research, the clustering of things and finding different connections. All that is very important before you actually come to the final product. Another example where one of the students were looking at how do we use sound as a medium of navigation. So they created soundscape, and we all have developed products for this. You'll see somewhere on the photos, some electronics in place. So they all developed their products. So we built the product, we went back to the NGO, we tested it, right, to see how it really works. This was another project that we developed in the lab. If I have a video, I'll show it to you.
We present to you ICO. Children have no limits to their imagination and stories in their fantasy world. But it's difficult to try to bring it to life, especially with the attractive screen next to you. That's where ICO helps to create detailed visualizations of your imaginative stories. Now let's create. Press the red button and tell ICO your story. The green button will make ICO read back your story, and if you are happy, press the blue button for the magic to happen. There you go, a detailed picture of your story in your hand. You can create larger stories together or add colors just as your imagination. Bring all ideas and stories to life. ICO.
Okay, it's not that we only do process-based things, we also do prototypes, artifacts, sketches, a small video of that. There's also kind of a lot of hard skills involved, right? Where students understand how to draw, how to do anatomy, what is the meaning of line, how do you kind of use elements and principles of design as a foundational skill and build on top of that. We also do courses on, and what I'm trying to show you is work of just one batch, right? Because we don't have specialization. So the same set of students are exposed to all facets. So you saw process-based work, you saw drawing, you saw a little bit of product design. Now you see a little bit of sketching and rendering, prototypes. They also work with clay. We have a very nice clay studio on campus. They also tinker with technology. So we have like a tech lab where students are allowed to kind of do whatever they want to do in terms of tinkering with technology. Tinkering with technology is a very important facet of what we do. I'll just show you a documentation of one of the recent student project that they did. like, it's not that they just kind of explore products, so they also do animation. And this is not an animation actually designed on an animation software. They actually use programming to animate this. So this was part of a course we run as creative programming for designers. So they learn a little bit of JavaScript, HTML, some very basic things on it, and use that to kind of create creative visualization. We also do graphic design. So this was a typography course we did, and this is what were some of the assignments as a part of that course. We also do a course on UI UX. So this is one of the apps which actually somebody created as a part of the UX course. I think this app was more on it was a very interesting app actually, which was, if I show you the entire prototype of this, the idea was that when people travel, they travel alone and they leave their health at home, right? Because when you're traveling, you cannot control a lot of things. So can we create a platform where you could actually travel with your health along with you? Means it could suggest you where to eat food from because you want to maintain calories. What are the things available where you're staying, where you could actually complete your 10,000 steps? Is there a home cook available nearby? Or is the recipe, if you have a kitchen access, is the recipe that you want to access? Whatever. We also teach them how to do animation. So this was an animation they actually created on an animation software.
Take it, Ella, swing it.
Simple animation.
Heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I see when we're out together, dancing cheek to cheek. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hung around me through the week, when we're out together, dancing cheek to cheek.
There's another animation, but I'm going to skip this. We also do a lot of kind of service design work. So this is, let's say, 1/3 of a service design journey map the students created. There's a lot of emphasis on integrating AI into our curriculum. So we don't only kind of we actually run courses on how to amplify designers' ability with AI, right? So I'll show you some examples, and we refresh this course every semester. Then we do this course because things are changing so fast. So whatever you see henceforth is all generated on AI. This is a small ad on AI. Again, generated on AI. And we don't only use AI for a visual creation. Our students actually learned how to create AI agents. I'm sure all of you have heard about agentic AI, but all of the students in this batch can create an agent itself, which means they will understand how to monitor the workflow. Right? This is one of the agents where a student created. The idea was that a lot of these brands, right? So they don't know because they don't have in-house, creative specialists. They don't know what kind of a social media post I should put every single day on Instagram or wherever. So this person created an agent. They said, okay, you upload your brand guidelines and whatever you want to do. Every morning, 9 a.m., I'll give you a post. This is how it runs. And everybody in the class created at least one agent. And this is not, you don't require, very high tech computer programming knowledge to do this. With the age of vibe coding, it's become very easy. So see, it has a folder. On the folder, an image is automatically ready by agent itself. I don't even need somebody who can probably do this for me. Right, so this was another thing we did about.
Hi, I'm Kiara. Today, stepping
Immersive
into
media.
the Between the Dots and Dreams exhibit was like stepping into a living story where you also see, a very inclusive interaction with dots and motion, and the fact that it's based on Aboriginal ancient stories, and each and every story has different meaning. And me as a design student, the creativity just got to me, and combining such stories and something that a lot of people don't really know about with technology is something so interesting and creative.
Right. So I'm going to also tell you what are the career options. Okay. Now, 4 years down the line, when you guys will graduate, actually 4.5 years down the line, things are going to be very different. But I'm going to speak from today's point of view. I think as from the anybody who graduates from the School of Design, most likely could work in these 5 spaces, in large organizations, in a studio environment, in an impact space, as a consultant, or also start their own practice. What kind of roles they'll have? They possibly could work as a design researcher, interaction designer, design thinker, product designer, UX designer, UI designer, service designer, experience designer, and probably also an entrepreneur. Okay, we also give our students a lot of exposure to global community. Every year we have a tie-up with Copenhagen Institute of Interaction Design. We host their pop-up school on campus where our students get a free seat. We invite about 12 of the global world-class faculties from CID to come to campus and work with the students, along with some of the industry guests we invite. Last year, we had 60 students and about 40 guests from the industry working in the same team over a period of 7 days, and it was quite nice and intense. I have a video, but I don't think I'm running short on time, so I'm going to skip that video for now. Right, we had Don Norman on campus. He's part of the advisory board. We also work very closely with the Institute of Design. We did an event on little bit on social innovation with them. This is the advisory board. I think most important thing, you look at the infrastructure and everything else. To me, one of the most important things is who is the faculty who is going to teach you. Everything else is all right? But I think what matters the most is the faculty. We take pride in the infrastructure that we have, but we take more pride in the faculty that we have. If you look at the faculty profile, you'll notice one thing very interesting. Majority of the faculty that you see are actually kind of a PhD, right? And they're all PhD from top institutes. Right? They're not like just PhD, they're PhD from top institutes. You'll barely find 2-3 people who are non-PhDs. Everybody else is a PhD because we value that. We value faculty bringing in their own research into the classroom, right? And that's where we most likely hire a lot of PhDs. We probably are the only design school, I can guarantee it, in the private, let's say, design education space, who have that many faculty who hold a PhD degree. Okay, a little bit more about what kind of labs we have. I'm going to skip that video because I already showed the infrastructure. And that's all from my side. I'm happy to take questions. I hope I didn't take too long. Thank you so much for being patient. Thank you.
One of the few sessions where you have answered all the questions without even being asked one question. So, I have written all the questions, and by the time the session ends, I think we have answered all the questions I had about the course, about the major and minor. So I think I won't be taking more of your time. Just a few questions from, I think Nishan will be able to answer about the fees and the hostel. It's a mandate.
Yes, Amit.
That question Nishant will take, but if any student in the meanwhile has any question you want to ask.
Do you have any other questions, students? I think, sir, it has been a wonderful session. They must have learned so many things today.
I'm glad. Thank you so much. If there's any question anybody wants to ask me, I can stay for a couple of more minutes. I'm happy to answer questions. There's no problem. But please put it on the chat if you have any questions. In case there is a question that comes to you later and you want to reach out to us, Nishant is the point of contact. I am very active on LinkedIn. If everybody or anybody is available on LinkedIn, my name is Amit Kundal. You can message me there. Admission criteria. So, official admission criteria, Nishant will share with you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what do we look at. Okay. So what we essentially look at is, are you passionate about pursuing design? That's one. And if you're passionate, what have you done so far to fuel your passion? That's the second thing. Third is, do you know the curriculum that you're getting into? Right? A lot of time people apply and they're not sure about what they're getting into. because the curriculum is little different. Whatever question you want to ask, feel free, reach out n number of times. But be sure about what you're getting into, not just for Plain, but other schools as well. You need to know, you need to read about the curriculum before you apply and appear for the interviews. All right, okay, I think that's all from my side. Nishant, rest of the questions you can
Thank you
take.
so
If
much,
there's
sir. Thank
anything
you.
that
No,
I
sir.
need to
Thank you
answer
so much.
later, let me know. All right,
Yeah.
thank you, Saurabh. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So, hi everyone, good evening. I think we are already at the last section of today's session. There are a few things I would like to share with quickly covered. As like you can see, Flame is a university which offer liberal education. There are a few philosophies which we follow, and one of them is like we believe in a smaller classroom model. We try not to entertain more than 35 to 40 students. Let's say if you require any additional time and support from the university, you will get. Sports is also one of the primary thing which we look at in the first year. Sports is a compulsory course, and let's say if you do not clear your sports courses, you do not have a final certificate from the university. It's taken very seriously. We have 15:1 student faculty ratio. As soon as you come to the university, there are three people who is allotted to you to make sure looking after your well-being on campus, starting with a faculty mentor who looks at your academic well-being. There's a peer mentor who looks at like your overall settling in the campus, and as they have already walked in your shoes before, they will be able to help you and guide you which are the best courses you can pick in the foundation year. Last, we also have a well-being center. Let's say as you'll be leaving your home for the very first time, if you need any kind of emotional support, we have well-being counselors who can help you. As Professor, this is Professor has already covered. We have a lot of research opportunities for the students. Few supports, let's say during your academic journey, if you need or like help with writing or Q Center or Vivekananda Library, we have a huge Vivekananda library which has around 55,000 plus books which you can access to. We believe in global education. Let's say when we have 80 plus different MOUs signed with different universities in terms of doing global conferences and research. And our students travel all over the world to be part of such high level conferences. Faculty ratios and everything professors already shared with you. Some of the guest speakers who have come recently. Campus, you have seen. I'm going to skip few slides. So we have two cell, let's say how your exit process will happen. We have a placement cell which looks after which are the colleges you're gonna, which other companies will be coming. So be it think tank, consumers, financial services, media. We have all sorts of company who comes for placement at the university. Let's say if you choose to do your higher education, we also have a higher education cell which looks after which are the colleges you can apply. How do you apply it? Your letter of recommendation, each and everything is done by the university itself. Uh, one moment, I think. My screen. Yes. Now, coming to the admission process, we have our own application process which you'll have to go through. Under that, we have a like you have to write a statement of purpose. Post that, you'll be writing, giving your academic grades, previous academic grades. Let's say if you don't have your 12 grades right now, you can put your predictive grades. Along with that, any extracurricular achievements which you have done, it's also very important. Let's say we now the second part is your flame design aptitude test, which is again divided into two parts. It's a 3 hour test where 2 hours is an aptitude test and 1 hour is a design test. We also accept scores such as UCED, NID, and NIFT. So if you have a good score, you can definitely share with me or the admission committee. They will revert back to you. If the score is good, we'll waive off the test for you. Now, the last section is that you need to give an interview. That's where, as Professor already mentioned, we are not looking at extensive portfolio. What we are looking at which shows proof that you are someone who is passionate about designing. And along with during the interview, we are not just only looking at your portfolio, we are also looking at what you have done beyond your academics as well. So when we say that we look at holistic development of a candidate, we also want to have somebody who has that enthusiasm in them. We offer multiple scholarship, merit-based scholarship being one of them. Let's say if you perform really well in the application process, which is the form, the test, and the interview, you'll receive a merit-based scholarship. After receiving a merit-based, if you still feel the fees is too high, we have need-based scholarship. Let's say it's a financial aid which is provided to the university after looking at the family income status. Third is the emergency tuition fund support. Let's say during your 4-year journey at the university, if the parents are not able to acquire the fees, the admission committee will definitely support you. Last one is scholarship of the defense services. Let's say if your parents are coming from a defense background, there is a dedicated number of scholarship which you get. More than 60% student at Flame are on scholarship, it's spread across all the 4 different sections. So yes, our college fees is 11 lakh 45,000 annually. There's a raise in 5% every year, which covers your tuition fees, food, and accommodation, mainly everything. A few of the deadlines which you can look at, the upcoming deadline is for cycle 3, which is on 29th March. From 28th March to 1st April, you're going to give your test. From 6th April to 10th April, you're going to give your interview. And on 28th April, the results will be out. And the last cycle, the deadline for the same is 3rd May. I'm not sure, Sumit, do you have any students for grade 9, 10th, and 11th as well, or only 12th?
No, 11th and 12th.
Okay, so this year we have launched our summer design courses. So let's say if you are someone who is really enthusiastic, but it is primarily for grade 11th and ongoing 12th student. Let's say it's a 5-day course during the month of May. I'll share the details with Sumit, so probably he can share it to you later on, where you can come explore what flame design is all about. And I'll also be sharing the list of the course you'll be doing in the span of 5 days. Um, we do campus tour every Tuesday, Thursday, and alternate Saturdays. If you are in Pune, feel free to. I'll share my number on the chat section as well. If you are visiting Pune, definitely drop by. If you want to interact with any of the student in the website, there's a section called Chat with Student Ambassadors. Probably you can just reach out to students who are different major minor combination they have taken, which region they are from. So you'll be able to identify those students and you can speak to somebody whom you connect. So yeah, that's probably it from my side, Sumit.
Thank you so much, Nishant. So I will share your number with anyone who is looking for
Sure.
the admission right now. And you
Sure.
have been a great help for all the students so far.
Gladly, gladly.
I won't take much of your time.
No
So
problem.
thank you so much.
It's already dinner time.
Yes. Thank you so much and have a great night. Good
You
night.
too. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.